People are still joining in. We are going to wait for 3-4 minutes at the beginning until everybody that wants to join in the first step will join.
Hi team, how are you?
Hi, Dorella. I hope everyone is fine. As I was saying before, we are going to wait a couple more minutes until more people join. In the meantime, if anybody wants to share where they're joining from, where they're located right now, as you can tell by my accent, primarily I'm from Greece. If anybody else also wants to let us know where they're calling from, where they're joining
Colombia
from.
here.
Super. Also in the chat, if anybody wants, they can also write in the chat. Chile, super. Very early, must be there. Okay, okay. 12 o'clock. It's manageable. I thought you were joining like very early. Just 1 minute more, maybe 2, until we start our webinar. Thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you, Nicola, for the note. All right, I guess we can start. If anybody joins later on, I will admit them. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining in for today's webinar. I try to not make it too long. I know firsthand, I've been to many webinars that when they tend to last too long, they tend not to be interesting and people tend to get disengaged. I'll try to make it as interactive as possible. I try to make it as to the point as possible. In the meantime, if you have any questions, we'll of course in the end contact the Q&A session. So feel free to write them in the chat. We already have some questions, I think, from some people, but we'll get them to them later on. But let's start for now. So today's topic will be about Mentionlytics capabilities in unlocking leads. It's something that a lot of people have asked over the, I think, last couple of months particularly. I think the reputation management capabilities of the tool are well known, as well as the ability to do some brand monitoring, to monitor competitors, benchmark, but a lot of people also asked us about how they can identify leads, about how they can use this to find interesting conversations, sales channels, and discussions where there might be potential buyers out there. So first of all, who am I? I'm the sales manager for Mentionlytics for the past year. Uh, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to help people figure out how they can best use the tool when they're doing, the first when they first get in touch with our software. So I have been in touch with many use cases. I have felt a lot of our customers and other leads to be able to identify the software. And I'm also using our tool for the purpose that we're going to show today. I'm also using it in order to be able to find tools. So all of these that you're going to show today, all of the data and information that you're going to be seeing today is also something that I use in my day-to-day as a sales manager for our company. Now let's get quickly into why do we need a social listening tool in order to be able to identify leads. The first data that we see is that 72% of people who tweet a complaint and the brand expect a response within an hour. So when people are very open and about a complaint they have with the brand, they tend to complain about it and expect a resolution very quickly. 53% of customers who ask a brand a question on Twitter expect a response within 1 hour. And 74% of consumers rely on social media to inform their purchasing decisions. So we see that people not only have expectations of brands being there on the internet, not only they have expectation to get answered to get answers about the features that the solutions have or how they perform or pricing, etc. And they tend to post this also on social media. So we need to have a presence there, but the consumers and the customers in the end, they're going to go to the social media, gather some feedback, and then they want, or before they make a purchase, they want to make sure that they have all the information available before they make the right decision. So they're going to post a lot. So they're going to ask for recommendations, strangers. They're going to express their disappointment in the current solutions that they have. Now, what are the sources that usually people look for? Instagram, and this is primarily for B2C. As you can imagine, a lot of people also in the healthcare, in the beauty business, and other consumer products, they tend to use Instagram a lot, particularly also handmade products. Then you have Twitter, which is more for a wider audience, usually, but tends to attract a lot of business customers, B2B. TikTok, of course, also focus more on the consumer side. And Reddit, of course, there a lot of discussions there. It has become one of the hottest channels for the ability to identify quality discussions. And this is what it differentiates it primarily with other tools that tend to have in-depth conversations there, not just from a straight advertising viewpoint, but also as a source where you can find quality discussions about specific tools, specific features, etc. And lastly, YouTube, of course, which mostly involves demonstrations of particular products, but under it, there are also discussions about disappointments, etc. Now, uncovering leads in the project management software, maybe I need better to have this as a slideshow, at least for now, at least. Of course, we're gonna go also through the platform because presentations can be great, but it's much better, I think, if we also show this in practice, show this in action, how we can actually do all the things that we're gonna say we do here. So what are the most relevant things that you can do and the most relevant things that you can find when using a social listening tool like Mentionlytics? The first is the ability to identify the relevant communities. So where are the discussions taking place about your specific market, specific product, or your competitors? The second thing is the ability also to identify particular threads of discussions, to find out exact problems, exact pain points, exact feedback about the market and the competitors. And the third thing is the ability to identify individual profiles, which means potential buyers, potential purchasers that are out there actively looking for a solution. I'm going to go now to our platform. I have prepared a mock account, let's say, for these purposes. I'm going to increase slightly the timeline here on the upper right. The use case is going to be around the project management software. I'm sure a lot of you are using it already in our work. We use these solutions already. So solutions like Asana, like ClickUp, like Trello, and Monday.com. These are all the big established players in this market, and we're going to see a little bit how we can actually get some feedback on the solution. So having this in mind and having what the industry is, which can be described as project management industry, task management industry, etc., we're going to see how we can identify particular threads. The most important thing when setting up a tool, a social listening tool, and I'm sure if anybody here has had either a demo or they have had any look into our blog or our YouTube video or anywhere else, you're going to realize that the most important thing is setting up the keywords properly. So if I'm going to try to get some feedback on my competitor, something like Asana, for example, I'm going to need a query that really will be able to identify what people are saying about this brand. We can try something simple like Asana, but this will bring us a lot of ads. They're going to bring us a lot of discussions around specific features, etc. But this is not why we're here today. Today is primarily for us to be able to identify feedback, what they say about this brand, and where they're looking for alternative solutions. So people, when they search for Asana, they're going to search for something like Asana alternative. They're going to post somewhere. They say, I'm using Asana, but I'm also looking for some alternatives, or I'm currently disappointed on Asana. I'm looking to switch. I'm looking for another solution, and also recommend or something like recommendations. So we can write whatever we want here. We can make this as large as we want, as large as possible. And then we create a query, let's say a Boolean, something like that, Asana and alternatives or disappointed or recommendations. And of course, we have already searched this, but it usually takes a few minutes in order to be able to gather the most possible results. So we have done this for all the other competitors in the market. Let's say if you already monitoring your brand, it's much better to just put your brand here. But for simplicity purposes, I have moved everything here on the folder called brand monitoring. However, if you're monitoring your own brand as well, which is what most brands are doing, you usually want to move the others into the competitor section. However, for simplicity's sake, I have put everything here. Now, I'm running all these queries about Asana, about ClickUp, about Trello, and I'm running the same queries. I'm trying to find discussions where people are looking for alternatives, they're disappointed or recommend. And I'm doing pretty much the same thing about industry-related words. So project management and something like needed tool, better way, best tool, which is better, best software, recommended, recommendation, or alternatives. So I'm also going to gather discussions about the project management industry and people actively searching for a better way to do project management, what is the best tool out there for project management, etc. And the same for the task management. The more queries I create here, the more feedback I'm going to get. However, not everything always might result in a net positive. However, for the time being, I don't want to make it too restrictive, because if I put a lot of excluded words here, I might be losing some valuable results. So for this use case, you can put here something like excluded keywords, but I wouldn't recommend just for this simple case. It's much better first to see what kind of results are we getting, and then try to limit it or expand it as needed. So this is the first thing, setting up and trying to find where the discussions are happening. So you can see here that on Twitter, a lot of people are saying, having discussions. I always recommend Motion for project management tool feature. So you have some advertisements. You can see the same on other web mentions. So it depends really on the tool. And here also, I can see some similar things from other tools, some discussions on Reddit. So I'm seeing where the discussions are happening. This is the first step at being able to identify the communities. So we set up keywords. We can filter any the relevant channels that we want. So for the time being, it seems that the most discussions are happening on Twitter on web, on particular websites like Quora, and on Reddit. It seems like these are our strongest channels for the moment. And it's much better if in this particular example, we sorted by engagement to see where most people engage in this discussion, or by reach. It can also be by reach or by engagement. We can do either of these. However, the latest in this particular example might not be what we're looking for. Then we're going to see what discussions are about and also engage the community. The second step is identify the particular threads, find out exactly what they're discussing about so we can discover the pain points and also, as we said before, engage in discussion. Let's take in particular, for example, Twitter as a first sort of option. We're going to see a lot of people that are also advertising their own business. They're doing this kind of work. However, if we see all of this, we can see something very interesting like this one here. And I'm going to open it so we can all view it here. So does everything at least and buys turns to garbage? I was a huge fan of Lou. Let's just see it here in all its glory. It saved me hours and hours of unnecessary meetings with clients, but recently it's been disappointing. I'm considering the script, but what are the other alternatives? I don't want to use ClickUp either. I tried it. Suggestions. So this is a perfect lead, I would say, not only themselves, but also a perfect thread where you can discuss a little bit more around their needs and also engage with other people that have come here. Because all the people that you see here, Stephen, Michael, again, the original poster, the OP, James Williams, they're all giving advice. So, and they're all expressing their opinion. Still using Loom, but there have been some more editing options. So you can see that not only we were able to identify Michael Cove, the original lead that led us to here, but also there are some other people that having second thoughts. Still using Loom, but it could have some more editing options. Why the script? So you see that also Peter Kovalcic here is also a person that's looking for a solution at the moment because they're not totally satisfied. They're not as a hot lead as Michael is. However, it's a person that we could be also targeting when we're doing this. I'm using CleanShot text, and so we're seeing how people here might just give their own feedback based on the solutions that they have tried. But what they're also doing is discovering together with the user what is the best solution out there. They're trying to find, and they're trying to say and communicate about their own experience, but they're also trying to find together what is the best the solution out there. What our clients and what we do in these cases is we try to engage also in this conversation. And there are multiple ways to do it. You can just go in the thread and say, I'm from the team X, for example. We're having our own project management software. So this discussion, I would highly suggest to have a trial here. So you can make it something very minimal like that, or you can have it, in another way. You can also try to do a very small pitch here. So we're from X team. We're from project management tool called X. We're having the solution. I know that you might be dissatisfied with this for X, Y, Z. And the reason, and I know that we have a lot of users coming our way over the last few weeks because they are disappointed with that. The way we solve this issue is we have one feature, two features, three features that will make your life much easier. So we were able to go into a discussion. We were able to identify the threads, and we were also able to identify individual profiles, which is very interesting. We can also send them a DM. It's not always the best solution to do it firsthand, but it also depends what kind of product you have and what is the overall offering and the service you have. So if you're having something like, let's say, handmade tables, for example, it's a very good idea to also DM them. Why? Because maybe they're looking for something very particular and you posting something in general might not help. So maybe you can message them, maybe you can send them a quick image of your work. For something like a software, maybe you can DM them the trial link. But some people sometimes are a bit wary of actually engaging in a direct manner. So this is a very good lead that you can find, and this is a very interesting thread where you can promote your product. However, there are also a lot more that you can find. So here in this discussion on Quora.com, Let us see what this discussion is about. Can you recommend a task management tool similar to Asana or Trello that also allows for note-taking, such as Microsoft OneNote? So this discussion is happening on Quora. Of course, we can also open it on another page to see it. Let me open it through here. And there you can see also the discussion happening. And there you can see also people, again, trying to promote their own products. Here, like Notion, for example, or the product that they're familiar with. And they give a short pitch of what they can do and what they cannot do. Of course, again, I would highly suggest to actually engage in these threads, either via a community manager, either through somebody from content, from marketing, from sales. It's much better always to take part in these discussions because it's very nice to also have a presence here, not only because people will directly come to you when you recommend them, will directly generate some traffic to you, but also other people in the future are going to be looking for these threads. So what happens is you create a direct approach, not a general marketing approach. Let us target all users have searched in the past, like doing a marketing campaign, some Facebook ads, some Google ads. You're targeting directly people here that will be helpful. And you can also target these specific users again if they're having second thoughts. So I've used both Asana and Trello, and they're both solid task management tool. Asana is great for organizing projects, while appreciate about One Tab AI is one doc feature. So this person is somebody who uses a heavy user that have used a lot, and you can always reach out to them and say, okay, you know what? I know you'll be using these tools. It's fantastic. We also have a tool available. If you have some time, you can also use this tool that we have here. It's a very quick way to engage with people that are heavy users and actually have a strong interest in that. And as you can see, there are multiple Quora links about that, and Quora usually is a strong field for software and other services where people discuss a lot about them. So what are some alternatives to Monday.com for project and task management? Again, you can see here people suggesting their solutions and people having second thoughts or giving their own opinion on the matter. Again, another thread where some free alternatives to Trello. I'm not sure if you want to engage with somebody who's looking for a free alternative. You have the chance, but usually these are lower quality leads if somebody is looking just for free. But it's nice also idea to always create some suggestions here. What are the reasons for people? This is a very interesting. I think what are the reasons for people preference of Trello over other similar tools like Asana or Basecamp? Here's another thing where you can also strongly engage in this community and really make your mark. You can say, I know these tools these are the strengths, these are the weaknesses. However, our tool has both the strengths and doesn't have any of the weaknesses that other tools have. Or you might be able to say, we do as much as a tool like Asana or Basecamp does. However, we do it at a much better price point, for example. Really try to pinpoint the strengths of your own brand. Another thing that we can see, another channel that we can see, of course, is Reddit. And I think Reddit, again, as I said in the introduction, lately tends to have some of the more interesting discussions and some of the best quality traffic that you can find on the internet. A lot of our users, particularly for B2B tools, are doing heavy work on Reddit. And the reason is, again, that the quality of the leads usually is much better. Excuse me for a second, just. Thank you. Again, we can see the kind of threads that we can find on Reddit. And let's say, what is the best productivity app? Bill went from $144 to more than $1,200. So if we're having a tool that its particular strength is price point, I think this is one of the best threads that you can possibly hope to find. Check your invoices, ClickUp change the pricing structure without warning and not charges full member fees for guests, unless they're view only. My team usually about 10% of ClickUp's functionality. 1,200 is a bit too much for trying a few tasks per month. If anybody knows of cheaper alternatives, please let me know. Again, we're seeing here the kind of discussion that can evolve into Reddit. So just not the final update, the future billing amount to my account. Two, it went nearly up 10 times. These are all golden leads. You can open the profiles on Reddit if you have an account, and I would highly suggest all the users' availability are here, so you can open their own accounts and chat with them if you have a Reddit account. You can directly message them and let them know, I just noticed that 20 days ago you had this solution. Have you found a solution yet? And then you can say no. And then you can say something like, okay, super if you haven't. I'm contacting from this particular company. I understand. And lately we have a ton of users switching over from ClickUp due to the price increases. I would highly suggest to start a trial with us. It's totally free, or convert to us, or let us go through a demo together. Let us do a call together so I can see what your pain points are, so I can see what you're looking for, and you can also see that our pricing is much better. Try to make it a compact message, because these people, um, due to the nature of Reddit, will not be open to a full-on advertising campaign. So try to be as succinct as possible. Try to speak directly to their pain points and try to give the word back to them. Of course, you can also engage in discussion, put some replies here. As you can see, some people might have already done it. You see here that ClickUp, for example, already has done some community management, a bit too late. So 2 days later, they replied, if you had significant change in your bill, we'd love to work with you to find a solution. I sent a support ticket, had this as well, no notice, and bill went up. So you can see that they did community management a bit too late, I would say. 2 days later, this thread had already exploded. Most of the answers had already happened. So most of the users, the active users, will not see these replies now. This is why it's also very important to engage, if possible, the very moment these discussions take place, because this is where you have the upper hand. This is where you will have most eyes. Of course, even if you reply somewhere now, like 10 days later or 15 days later, your answers will still be viewed in the future. However, they will not have this kind of engagement that they used to have. And you can see a lot of people angry. That can be read. I just renewed last week and the same prices. If they change now, will ask for a refund. All of these people are very good leads, potential leads that we can engage and actually try to find what is happening with them and how we can help them. And of course, again, we can post and say we're from this company. Again, a very good introduction is to let them know why you're posting here. And this is what I always try to do with my messages. I know that you're having this issue with ClickUp, because we've seen people from ClickUp lately a lot coming our way. So again, Reddit is a very strong source, particularly for high quality leads. Now that we have seen the results, how you can pick up, we can also see some stats where these leads are coming from in the world map. Of course, as most of you know, certain markets for certain services tend to be higher quality leads. Again, you can also click here to find out where these leads are coming from. However, I would reach out to all of them if it's not a huge volume. If you find yourself having something like 1,000 leads, maybe you want to narrow them down. If it's something like 20 or 30 leads, I believe every sales management team can actually engage with them. Now, let's see quickly some other things that we can do with this information. I'm also going to open this for later. We can, some very important thing is also to manage, to be able to manage the leads that we're getting. It's one thing to have all this information in our plate, let's say. It's another thing to be able to manage them efficiently. So a thing that you can do is you can create some particular tags. So under each lead, you can put a tag on it. For example, if me have created and have put it lead. And a much better way to do it is to create an automation. I have created an automation here called individual leads. And every time something like this pops up, can anyone recommend any suggestions? You recommend what are some people in general trying to find discussions. I can make this again as long as I want. Every time this pops up together with the keywords I have inserted, these tags are everything goes under the tag that I have created called lead. Of course, you can test the preset you have created to see what kind of it included, if it's having a lot of noise, if it's having none of voice, and then you can create varying actions, either put a sentiment on it or relevance, but in our case, the other are not relevant so much. Of course, you can put a note, something like, tell Michael to look at this, if Michael is your sales person. But in general, for simplicity purposes, again, I would just put something like tag call lead. And again, if you want to see everything that's marked under the tag lead, you can go here and say, okay, I want to just filter out everything that has been marked with the tag lead. Let me put it again. All right, so for the moment, for the timeline I have said, are these 12 leads. So everyone was looking for a skilled professional with expertise assigned to join our team. Okay, this is super relevant. Click have that changed. I'm looking for a combination of project management software. So this is another thing that we were able to identify due to our automation. Looking for a project management tool for a small PR and sustainability consulting firm. Again, people are asking and giving advice for various solutions. So this is another thread that we can engage directly, and it's, again, the same logic behind it. Now that we've seen how we can create some automations that can make our work much easier, and again, we can make this as wide as possible or as small as possible, depending on our service and our product. We can also create some notifications. And again, we saw that speed in these types of threads sometimes is very essential. Of course, again, depends on the product, if it's a high investment product or a low investment product. For high investment products, even if you reply something like 3 days later or 4 days later, it's not a huge deal. However, for a low investment, something that somewhere can buy, instantly, it's much better to get notifications right away. So I have put this email notification here that says, I want to receive in my email instantly. Let's say it's very easy to do. Again, we select what we want to receive. I want to receive straight away a notification as soon as it's detected. Everything that falls under the lead rule. So anytime a new lead appears, I want to receive an email notification, and I want to be the first to see this kind of discussion. So this is a very efficient way for us to be able to identify this lead. And I think we covered most of the things that we want to see regarding lead identification. We have covered most of the things that I think are the most important ones. Let us see a couple of other things that we can do that are related to this process of sale identification, however, are not directly linked to that. The first thing that I want to show you is how we can see the top mentioners depending on the social media channels. Let's say on top of my sales strategy, I'm also looking to improve my marketing strategy by being directly related, by being with somebody who has a lot of discussion points or has a lot of engagement or has many followers on particular channel. Let's say what I'm doing here is I'm going to the top mentioners tab. I have selected just Twitter, and I'm going to see what kind of accounts have searched mostly for, let me remove the tag. Is it removed? Yes. But I'm going to increase again the timeline here. So I'm seeing which kind of accounts had the most engagement. Again, it's the thread with Michael Cove. We were able to identify this right away. That will be the most important one. Had 22 people engaged. And again, we see LTD selection, ClickUp, Project Manager, which seems to be an award-winning project management software, tips and resources. You see that they have a lot of work here. Agile briefly, Agile community with less noise and more highlights. We're able to see here who are people that are having a lot of things done in this space, but we're also able to identify people that might have a lot of influence on this space. So here, for example, Chris Bennett, self-storage investor, growing to 500 million in Australian, I think this is called Australian tweets and threads about the process. So if we were, let's say, if we wanted, we can work together with Chris, find out what's being said, what's being discussed. We can do, of course, the same on Reddit. find the users that have mentioned this the most, and I think will be interesting. So this particular person, TR representative, has made 4 mentions with engagement 162 people, with 162 comments or likes or anything. It seems to be very involved in this community. So we can ask them what they think about our tool. Maybe they can try it out. Maybe we can offer them something like a free trial, because they seem to have a constant engagement with this type of tools. So it would be a nice idea to have them close, find out what they think, and if possible, also in the future, we can work together on our solutions. Of course, we can do the same with all the social medias out there. And another thing that I want to show you, let me increase again here the timeline, is the mention cluster. So if we want to quickly find out big pain points or big discussion points, we can do the same with a mention clustering. It's not as good, in general. It relies mainly on the ability to summarize big discussion topics. So you can see what are most threads about and get a quick outlook. It doesn't help us directly to identify leads, but it helps us find out what the leads are searching for. So they're searching for ClickUp competitors, project management software, alternative competitors, and again, we can also ask it for a short summary. But again, it doesn't help really for the granular level. It mostly links us to where the discussions are happening on the web and other channels. And I think the main part of my presentation, I think, is close to an end. Of course, we're going to have also a Q&A session, uncovering leads in the project management industry. So the conclusion is, excuse me, the first thing that we need to take note of is that using a social listening can help you engage faster with community individual buyers. So as we saw, this not only doesn't fare well for ClickUp, but also doesn't fare well for some of the competitors, that they were not able to engage super fast in this discussion. Some smaller startups were able to take a lot of track. And again, we as Mentionlytics and a lot of our clients are looking at these new alternative solutions and channels that maybe 5 or 7 years ago weren't so much interesting or important, let's say like Reddit or like Quora. They think that a lot of discussions and a lot of decision making is happening there. So that's why they have a social listening tool in order to be able to engage faster when leads appear and somebody is dissatisfied in a competitor of theirs. Then you are able to identify quickly the pain points and advantages. Your message as somebody, working on a commercial position should always be not focused on what you can do, but how you can help your customer. I think everybody here knows that. So it's very, very important for us to be able to find out what they're thinking about, what problems do they have with our competitors, or what problems they have with the general offering at the moment. So not only who can develop features that is focused on them, but the most important thing is the ability to communicate these features and these differences compared with the status quo, compared with what they have now. And the third is to be on top of the discussions and be the first to be notified when an industry discussion takes place. I would like to do the Q&A, I think, now, but of course, I want to let you know that we can, of course, reach us with live chat. I know most people here have started a trial. So if you have any question here in the chat, you can send us a message, how you can optimize your account or anything like that. I would also like very much to have a sales call with any of you that have any issues. So if you want, you can also always participate in a demo call with us, where we can help you optimize your account. We can help you do the same process as we did in this industry to your own industry. And lastly, you can, of course, email us at sales@mentionlytics.com. For all the webinar participants, of course, we also have a code that you can use to purchase our solutions for 20% off. We're going, of course, to email to you this, and I believe, Nicola, if you can also write it on the chat for people that won't perhaps have it now, but of course, we will email you in any case with the coupon code. And that's it. Let's go now to the Q&A. I really hope I haven't bored a lot of people. I'm not aiming for 0. I know it's very hard, but I hope the number isn't too big. Let's see now about the Q&A in the messages. If you have any questions. I think I think I also have a question here. How does this process apply to B2C? Excellent question, Gabriela. And it's very important for us to make the distinction. So this is a very good question. The most important difference that you will find is that you'll use very different channels depending on the industry and the process. So B2B, a lot of discussions will be happening on Quora, a lot of discussions will be happening on Reddit, on some Facebook pages. Definitely, all of these are questions that will be happening. In B2C, and depending on your product, you're going to see that a lot of discussions are happening on Instagram or on TikTok, but also on Twitter. So this is the first biggest difference. The second difference is that we need to act a bit quicker on B2C because, again, it's usually low investment products. I mean, except for cars or real estate, most B2C products are not going to wait you 3 or 4 days to write a perfect answer. So you need to be much quicker to engage, and it's not, and most of the times it's not worth it to go on an individual basis to chase the lead in B2C. It depends, of course, on the value of the product. Again, we can discuss about furniture. For example, high value furniture, they can be sold for like $5,000 or $10,000. Of course, for this type of things, you can, of course, engage the leads. But if you're selling something like a banking product or a loan product for B2C, or a solution that is used by consumers, something like a streaming service or anything like that, of course, doesn't make sense to engage them directly. What is the most important thing here is the ability to find where the communities are happening. So if I were, for example, selling something and I was seeing a lot of discussions on Reddit, the first thing that I would do is I would take note of where this discussion on Reddit is happening. And the same for Instagram. Instagram requires authorization, and you'll see all these similar results. So the first thing for me is to understand where these discussions are happening. So which subreddit is having this discussion. So let me again do the same thing here. Increase the engagement, sort by engagement. I'm doing this real live with you, as you all can understand. So I can see, for example, that there is a Reddit called ClickUp. So what I can do is I can make my marketing a bit more Reddit focused. So I can contact Reddit, I can put some ads there. I can also create my own subreddit for my brand because I know a lot of brands are not doing it. So you can create your own subreddit. It doesn't take a lot of effort. I think it has a minimum threshold. So you need to comment on a lot of threads for some period of time, and then you can create also your own subreddit. If your brand, of course, is big enough, and if you're doing B2C. The second thing is that you contact them for marketing. So you want particular subreddits to be targeted with your marketing campaign. And of course, you can do the same with Quora to see where the discussions are happening, find any YouTube channels that a lot of discussions or comments are happening behind, and then work with an influencer either on YouTube or TikTok. I think this is a much more sane strategy for B2C because you don't want to get lost on individual sales, which again, it depends on the market. They can be lucrative, but I would say generally no. Let's see if we have another question. Quick question: can I get real-time notifications for such a conversation threads to ensure I'm the first one to reply suggesting my product before another competitor? Yes. Yes. What you can do, and I think this is one of the most important things, is to set up notifications that are properly managed. So you have created, first of all, a rule, which I think is the most important, to create an automation that says whenever somebody is using these words, can anyone recommend, or any suggestions, or you recommend, or what are some, or help me find. I just got up with that. Help me find. Or we can make this again as long as possible or as small as possible. And then we update the preset. So I've created this preset, okay? That is pretty much whenever you find these phrases, along with any of the keywords I have inserted, I wanted to put under this preset. Then we go to the notifications, Victoria, and everybody here, and then we create a notification that says, I want, whenever this filter that we have created, this preset called lead rule. So whenever somebody or anybody asks us for something, uses one of these phrases, I'm going to get a notification as soon as it's detected. And it's very important to do this here. Because again, it's not like we will need a report for all the messages we receive for a brand and we'll look at it at the end of the day. We're not playing this game right now. We're playing that I want to respond as soon as possible. So in 30 minutes to an hour, at the most, you're going to be looking at the mentions that have come up, the phrases for people that are looking for this. So as soon as detected, we're going to receive an email with a snippet of what came up and say, okay, go to look at your account. This particular lead popped up. And of course, you can also integrate it with Slack. I know a lot of people are using Slack. So you can also integrate it with Slack. You can also receive a Slack notification. So both ways to go about it, really. Either receive an email or a Slack, but it's very important to put the frequency here as instantly. So the moment somebody pops up with this phrase, you will receive notification and you will be able to engage the moment it happens. So super question, great question. I see another question. If you can track individual profiles of influencers, yes, another great question. So another thing that you can do, and again, I highly suggest if you have found a particularly interesting lead, let's say if I'm interested, if I have discovered through the top mentions here on a particular channel, let's again go to Twitter and say, okay, I'm interested with the people that have the most mentions. So let's say Nadine Dev. So let's say I'm looking for this, or we can go to an even bigger one, like Gideon here, self-taught web developer. Let's say this person has already made one mention of our industry, but software for small business management, project management software. Super excellent. Let's say we're also interested in everything else. What we can do is get their profile. We can, of course, email them directly. Twitter's been asking for a lot of details. We can get here the URL x.com/GideonAge001. And what we can do is we can say to the system, okay, I want to receive every single thing this person posts because they're a very vital part of the community. So you can go here, click the plus button and say, I want to add not a keyword now, but a social profile. Or let's even better create a folder. So this is, the system is going to identify it as a Twitter account, and then we can either create a new folder, but we can add it on the already existing. And now what we're doing is we're tracking this particular profile. So anytime this particular profile, this particular influencer posts something, we're going to be getting a notification. So this way we can track, we can keep track of all the important influencers, of the people that hold, real sway over the different communities out there. We can do also the same with the subreddit. So if we were looking, for example, for ClickUp, or I think I saw one called Project Management before. Yes, Project Management. So it has 175,000 people here. So what we can do is we say, okay, I want to track this particular subreddit. And it has been recognized, I think, subreddit. And then we can update it. And now everything, every time this gets posted, we'll be getting a notification that somebody interesting. You can also put a filter on top of that here and say, okay, I want for this subreddit just to receive notification when discussing about software. So not really everything here. I have another question. What is the difference between where I put my keyword under the brand monitoring or marketing leads? There's not a real difference for the kind of work we're doing here. Excellent question. It's just a way, it's just a way to be able to keep track and not get lost in all this information. So you're going to be getting pretty much the same details with a few differences. So if you have put this here, for example, under the competitors tab that again I have now empty for simplicity purposes, and I have put my own brand here. Let's say I have put my own brand in the brand monitoring and all these companies, Asana, ClickUp, Trello, Monday.com in the competitors. What I can do is get some analytics and visualizations based on that. So I can go here, for example, in the share of voice, and I can see how my different keywords I'm doing. You can also do the same here, so I can see how often people are searching, for example, for different keywords. Let's make it a bit more granular here in the week. So you can see Asana, for example, most people are looking for Asana alternatives. And then people are looking for task management or ClickUp. Then I can put, okay, I want to suggest a reach or just do this in groups with brand monitoring merge. If I were to have them here all individuals, when I would click here, they would appear as directly competing notions. So this is the only difference, the ability to gather some more insights about specific keywords. You're gonna get the exact same results collected. It's just a way to be able to do some record keeping. So these are brands, and these are general marketing leads. It's a way just to do organization, not a real way that will say the results. It just difference in the way you organize and the visualization and the other data you can get from it. Great question, because yes, I understand somebody who's not super familiar with our tool might have questions on why do we have this separate. It's also a question that pops up a lot in the demos. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions right now? Anything else that might have been shared with the community that I'm able to answer? Okay, super. Not sure if you have any other questions from before. Nicolas, do you have any other questions from before?
No, not for now.
Okay, super, super. Again, to conclude very quickly, again, I hope it wasn't boring. I have been to many webinars where I kind of lost focus after a while. I hope this wasn't one of them. Again, if you have a trial already, please connect with us either with a live chat. If you haven't contacted the demo, or if you want to do a follow-up call, again, feel free to book a sales call. Of course, you can do it through the platform, but also you have a QR code here that you can use either now or, of course, you will receive it again later. But you can also book it directly through our platform. You can book here a demo, and we can optimize this for you. Of course, you can email us. And of course, we have this coupon code that you can use for your next purchase. I want to thank everybody for participating. If you have no further questions, I think we can conclude for the day. Pleasure meeting everybody, and let's again catch up in a demo. Let's catch up again via email, or we can of course catch up in our next webinar if you found it interesting and you want to participate again. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. And again, thank you for participating. Bye-bye.